Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make this really cool captive bead necklace on the Glowforge. Let's get started. As with all my digital projects, we're going to start in Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to go over here and make sure our stroke is set to red because we're going to do it for cutting. It doesn't have to be red, but I use red for cuts. I'm going to click once to make a rectangle. We're going to enter the measurements here. 0.5855 and 1.0736. I'll have these in the file. And if you're dummy, you switch them back because I always get them wrong initially. So now we have the whole thing selected. We're going to want to round these corners a little bit because they are very, very sharp. So we're going to go to the direct selection tool and try to get it to work, and of course it doesn't work. So if this doesn't work and you don't get all the corners at once, you can use the direct selection tool to just pick the entire shape and just pull in these little round handles and round them as much as you want. You don't have to round them too much, you just want to take the corners off. Makes it look a little nicer. Now we're going to draw the rectangle for the interior. So we do another rectangle, single click, and again I'll have the measurements in the file that you can download. And we're going to drag this into the center of the first one. So this is what's going to get knocked out of the middle, and you'll see with Illustrator, it'll just click into place when it's centered. And that's the interior and exterior. Outerior is not a word. Final step is we have to make the score lines for the channel, and I'll explain what those are for during the assembly process. 1 point is a little bit too big, so I'm going to make it 0.91 points. And you'll see all of this when it comes together. Make a copy of it, and we're going to change the color of this because on the Glowforge we want this to be a different step. But first, expand, fill in stroke. That turns that stroke into a shape, and now we're going to make it blue because this is going to be an engrave. And when the Glowforge sees red and blue, it'll know it's two separate operations. Now we're just going to take these individual lines, and they'll center themselves as you drag over the shape, and that's it. It doesn't really matter that they're over the size of the actual shape. It's not important. That's it. Next step, we're going to pick all of them, and we are just going to hold Alt and drag them to make copies. And that's it. And now we have 4 perfectly good copies of the same shape. I like to save things as an Illustrator file in case I want to make changes to it later. It's easier to do that when you have an Illustrator file. And of course I realize that I'm saving it on the cloud first. Okay, so here we go. We're going to save this as an Illustrator file. That's going to be my original that I will never change. And then for the Glowforge, you have to save things as SVG files. It doesn't like AI files. I'm going to change this to SVG, and we're going to click OK. On this screen, you're going to want to make sure responsive isn't checked because it will resize in the Glowforge if you have it checked. So when we designed this, we made sure we added a spot for a channel. That's this line right here. That was the blue line from the design. And the idea is to take a head pin, which is one of these, put it in this channel that we made, and then take another piece with another channel and put the channel side over the pin. And what this does is it captures the wire inside the pendant, so you can't pull it out, which means all we have to do is put our beads on the wire and glue the wood and loop the top, and the pendant is done. So the beads we're going to use are called seed beads, and seed beads are super tiny. In fact, let me pull one off of here. See, and see them right here. These squares on this mat are 1 inch, and you can see just how tiny they are, but the hole on the seed bead fits perfectly over the head pin. So we're going to take some beads, just showing you how it lays out, and then we're going to put that over the top, and the effect that you get is that the beads are captured inside the wood. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our pattern. I haven't figured out what we're going to do yet. Since the first one I did was for pride, I'll probably just do that same pattern again. Maybe I'll do something different. But we are going to put our beads on, and then I'm going to show you how to finish this off. Okay, so we have our beads. So let's string these on. We're going to do this magenta color on the bottom. And we're going to do the purple. Now the nice thing about seed beads is that seed beads are irregular, which sounds like a bad thing, but if you accidentally make the design a little too small to contain your beads, go through your beads and go through the strings that you buy, and you can probably find smaller or more irregularly shaped beads that'll fit it perfectly. You do want to have a little bit of room at the top and bottom inside the window of the frame, but you can see that fits a treat. It's perfect. Okay, so now the next step is going to be, we're going to take all of this masking off because we can't have this on it, and we're just going to glue this together. Okay, the masking is off, so now we're going to lay our finished string right in there, and we're going to put the other side so that the channel is over the head pin right on top. And that's it. So now the final part is going to be making sure that the sides meet. Now, as you can see, there's a gap here, so we can fix that. But this is the part where you have to have a very, very delicate hand. So what we're going to do is we are going to take one side of the channel and we are going to hit it with some diamond files, just enough to open that up. I like to use the triangle shaped one, so you can see the top of it, it's got a straight line, and just take that straight side, put it right in the channel, and just run it back and forth a few times. It doesn't take a lot. Don't overdo it, because you got to keep the whole channel small enough for the head to not come through. So keep doing and testing. So let's put this back on, see how we're doing. And I actually think that we're pretty much there. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Probably take a tiny bit more. So let's take a tiny bit more. I'm going to go back to this edge right here on the top. Okay, put the pin back in. And you can already see, it's hard to see on camera, but you can already see the strung pin is sitting a little more flush. Take the other side, and now we are completely flush. So that's how you fix that. It's not hard to fix, but you, like I said, you really have to have a gentle hand, because that's what's keeping everything together, this little head of the pin on the bottom. And if you overdo that channel, this will pull right through, and you can't have this pull through or you've ruined your pendant. So the last step as far as assembly goes is we are going to glue this. Now, there's a lot of ways to glue this together. My preferred method, the method that I had the most luck with the first time I made one of these, is to use straight up CA glue. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to get some CA glue. We're just going to put a tiny bit. I don't want to put any on the top and bottom because I don't want to run the risk of it getting in the channel by the pin. And I'm going to show you why that's important when we go to the final part, which is going to be turning this into the loop part that the chain is going to go through. So let me get the CA glue and we'll go to the next step. Okay, so this is thin, do it this way. This is thin CA glue. And I'm going to use just that and a toothpick, and we're going to coax it to where it needs to go. Okay, one of the tricks that I've learned from other makers is you take a cup, a small cup like that, you put the CA glue on that. That's it. Cover up your CA glue, put that aside. Now you can work with a tiny little bit and you'll have much more control. So, let's put a little bit on the frame. This is thin. You could probably use the other viscosities. The thin, I want the thin because it's going to compress more. And if you're wondering why I'm not taking the finish off of this, because you don't have to. I did one of these before. You don't have to take the finish off. The CA glue sticks just fine. And I've been wearing the other one since May, so it stays together. Okay, we'll move this aside. So we have the glue, it's on, strung into the frame. And now we're gonna put our top on. And that's it. We're gonna hold this here for about 20 seconds. Now, you could use activator on this. I tend to not use activator. I like to be able to make mistakes and place things, so I don't use the activator when I'm making jewelry. Unless I'm in a real hurry, or unless I'm pretty sure that I can fix anything later, because once the activator makes contact, you're pretty much done. But usually about 20 seconds, and voila, we're done. So, this moves relatively freely. It'll free up as time goes on, but those beads are now captured inside the wood. Now, if you don't make the alignment perfect, that's fine. This is good because this is going to be for me anyway, but if you don't make it perfect before you do anything else, you can just hit this with some sandpaper to flush up the edges, but honestly, I think it looks good as is, so I'm gonna leave it as is. And now the last step is gonna be to cut and loop this part, because this is what's gonna make the loop that the chain goes through. When you're doing this kind of looping with wire, you have another option. These are looping pliers, and if you look real close, you can see there's a curved jaw on this side and a round jaw on this side, and all you have to do is you put this on and you give it a rotation. I don't particularly like using these. They came with the set I have. The set I have is a really good set of jewelry pliers that I'm very, very happy with. I don't use these. I've never liked them. I don't find that they work particularly well. Instead, what I use is one of these. This is an expensive tool, but if you make a lot of jewelry, you see the benefit immediately. This is a 3mm looping tool. And all you do is you feed the wire in until it comes out the top of the tool, okay? And then you take the tool and you pull the handles together, and what it does is it trims and loops all in one move. Now, I have this because I make a lot of jewelry, so for me it makes sense. I'm not saying everyone needs one. I'm just saying that if you don't have one, you're missing out, and you probably don't know what you're missing out on. But you can get by just perfectly fine with this. You stick this in, and as you can see, this is about the same size loop, and you can shape the loop the same way. Honestly, these are a lot cheaper. You can buy a whole set for what that one tool costs, but that one tool will save you a ton of money. So that's it. The next step is going to be to feed a necklace of some kind through this, and we're all done. Okay, you guys ready to see the final product? There it is. See the way this comes together. Now, what I would do typically after I string my necklace through, you can see right here, this is a little bit open. So what I would do here is I would probably close this up. I would take regular jewelry pliers and close that up just to make sure. But unless you give this a good tug, it's probably not gonna slip through, but tighten it up if you're making it for someone else. If you're making it for yourself and you can afford to lose it, that's fine. But that's it. That's how you make a captive bead pendant using the Glowforge, some seed beads, and some basic jewelry supplies. Well, that's going to do it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching the video, and thank you for following along as we made this beautiful little pendant. Now, you could take the design, which I will leave the file for in the description below, and you can adapt it to pretty much any shape you want. This isn't confined to this particular shape, and you can use any size beads you want. The supplies are all going to be linked below, so if you need to get anything, you'll know what to get and where to get it, and I'm going to make it real easy for you to find everything you need so that you can do it. Now, do you need a Glowforge to do this? It's easier with a Glowforge, but you can get away without it. You can buy 3mm or 1/8 inch hardwood from various suppliers online. You can even buy it from the Glowforge store and just cut it out manually. And then instead of engraving that channel for the head pin, you can actually just use the files and make yourself space for the head pin to sit and do it that way. There's a lot of ways to do this. This is just one way, and this is the way I make it. But that doesn't mean it's the only way. It doesn't even mean it's the right way. It's just the way I do it. Every tool I used and every supply I used will be linked below so that you can make this yourself. And hopefully some of you are going to try it, and I hope you do. And if you do, don't forget to put it on Instagram and tag me there so I can see it. I love to see what people do, and I love to see when people take the things I show them how to do and turn them into real world stuff. That's going to do it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a good one, everybody.